They were signing papers for an airport that did not exist. No runway, no terminal, no construction site, yet over $200 million still changed hands. Between 1995 and 1998, a Brazilian bank transferred $242 million for a project that was never built. Not delayed, not abandoned, never real. This is not a rumor. It is not exaggeration. It is one of the boldest financial frauds in modern African history. And at the center of it was a man who looked completely legitimate. His name was Emmanuel Nwude. He was not an outsider. He was not desperate. He was not hiding on the margins of the financial system. He was a director at Union Bank of Nigeria, one of the country's most respected financial institutions at the time. That single detail mattered more than anything else, because credibility is expensive to question. Nwude did not behave like a con man. He dressed like a banker, he spoke like a banker, he moved through elite circles like someone who belonged there. His reputation did the work before the documents ever appeared. That reputation became the foundation of the scam. Nwude approached executives at Banco Noroeste, a major Brazilian bank, with an opportunity that sounded irresistible. Nigeria, he said, was planning a brand new international airport in Abuja, the nation's capital, a strategic gateway, a future aviation hub, a project aligned with Nigeria's ambitions at the time. More importantly, he implied the project was politically protected, not public yet, not widely announced, exclusive. One senior executive believed him. His name was Nelson Sakaguchi. Sakaguchi was not inexperienced. He was not reckless, but he was offered something that changes behavior. He was promised exclusive involvement in the deal. More importantly, he was promised a personal commission of $10 million. That promise mattered, because this scam did not rely on ignorance, it relied on silence. Once personal incentive entered the equation, oversight quietly disappeared. Questions slowed, verifications softened, doubt became inconvenient. The transfers did not happen all at once. That was intentional. The first payments were framed as mobilization funds, early-stage money, pre-construction costs, administrative groundwork. Later payments followed, described as construction advances, infrastructure preparation, and unexpected adjustments. Each transfer looked reasonable in isolation. By the time anyone thought to add them up, the money was already gone. In total, $191 million was sent as direct payments. The remaining balance accumulated as interest. All of it for an airport that existed only on paper. Here is the detail that made the fraud nearly invisible. Nwude never claimed the airport was already operating. He claimed it was still being developed. That distinction mattered. Future projects are harder to verify, especially when they are politically sensitive, not yet public, and allegedly backed by influence. Paperwork can always explain delay. Documents can always justify progress. To reinforce the story, Nwude created layers of legitimacy, forged letters, fabricated approvals, official-looking correspondence. At one point, he even impersonated the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria in communications. No one confirmed it, because confirmation would have meant exposure. Reports were written, updates were submitted, milestones were declared met, but on the ground, nothing changed. There was no cleared runway, no terminal foundation, no control tower, just empty land. The scam survived not because it was brilliant, but because no one wanted to be the first to question it. To question it meant admitting failure, exposing personal gain, and triggering internal investigations. And once money has moved, honesty becomes expensive. The illusion held. Until 1997. That was when Banco Santander began acquiring Banco Noroeste. As part of the acquisition, auditors reviewed the books. They were not looking for fraud, they were looking for assets. What they found made no sense. massive sums of money were sitting offshore with no physical infrastructure to support them. No airport, no land title, no construction trail. The auditors demanded answers. The airport had to be found. It could not be. There were no coordinates, no site to inspect, no contracts that could be verified. Every document pointed to another document. Every path ended in paper. The airport did not exist. By 2001, Banco Noroeste collapsed under the weight of the fraud. The consequences followed years later. In 2005, Emmanuel Nwude was tried in an Ikeja High Court in Nigeria. He was convicted of fraud, forgery, and impersonation, and sentenced to 25 years in prison. His assets were seized in an attempt to recover losses. Even then, the story did not end cleanly. Nwude later argued that some of the properties confiscated from him had been acquired before the scam began. The case dragged on. Recoveries were partial. Reputations were permanently damaged. The money was traced. But the damage remained, because this case exposed something deeper than corruption. It revealed how easily credibility can replace verification, how ambition can silence oversight, how institutions fail not because rules do not exist, but because enforcing them becomes inconvenient. It proved that a project does not need to exist to be funded. It only needs the right appearance, the right incentives, and the right people staying quiet. No airport was ever built, but $242 million still disappeared. And this is where the story truly matters. Because Emmanuel Nwude did not invent this system, he exploited it. The same system where paperwork outweighs reality, where reputation outranks inspection, where silence is rewarded and questions are punished. So the real question is not how the fake airport scam worked. The real question is how many projects across Africa today are still being funded the same way, not because they exist, but because stopping them would force someone to admit the truth. And that, for many institutions, is a cost they are still unwilling to pay. This is Echoes of Africa, and these are the stories that refuse to stay buried.